we're talking about the days before school and during the year. Next year we have 7 orientation days before school and 8 during the school year. So half of those will be school run. Now, on every school run, just want you to know, executive directors will have an hour, up to 2 hours max, because they may have some things to do. So the rest of the day will be the principals. District-wide assessment, we will be doing the STAR. Of course, we will be doing NWA. If you're in elementary school, we'll be doing DIBELS. Other than that, there's a regular, like, up to the principal when it happens, SAT, ACT, those sorts of exams. And they're not set by us, those are set by the College Board and other institutions. So, of course, the kids will be able to take those exams when they happen. District oversight and compliance. We have some rules that everybody has to follow. Special education is one of them, for example. Nobody gets to opt out of that. Those are compliance issues. We have reports that the state requires of us, and sometimes those reports, like the school improvement plan, is something that you have to do. That's what that means. This bullet is still going to be something all schools have to do, and that is a focus on instruction. I believe that the focus on instruction has helped us this year on our STAR scores. I don't know if you know yet, the 3rd through 8th grade came out today. High school end of course exam results came out last week. We had one of the best years of achievement growth that the district has ever seen this year. And part of it has to do with instruction. And the sub-bullet there, instruction must cover 100% of the teachers. That's not my rule, that's a TEA rule. If you have a tested subject area, then you have to have that subject cover Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, the TEAS, the standards. So that makes sense. We're not requiring DOL, but we are requiring a lesson objective. Guys, every school in America has a lesson objective posted almost. All effective schools have it, so we're requiring that. That's not a big change. And we're still requiring campus leadership team members to complete 6 spot observations. What you may not know is that we are in the process of making the spot observation a lot more differentiated. In fact, Principal Nigley, didn't we do that today? I mean, you guys got some preview of that. What do you think about that?
Much more flexible for our classrooms, and
Good.
it's a teacher and instructional friendly group.
So, and we're hoping all the different schools, because there's IB schools, there's Montessori schools, there's lots of different ones. While the main part of the spot observation is still sound for everybody, like you have to engage kids, even in an IB program, you have to have an online curriculum. If it's Montessori, let's do Montessori well. If it's IB, let's do IB well. You may not know we have an IB school that's failing because they're not implementing IB well. So you can't just say I'm an IB school and they're not implementing well. Anyway, those sorts of things are obviously fine, but that's one of the things that everybody does across the board. And then finally, it's not just a catch-all. There are times when we have to operate like one system. If we have to close schools for X reason, or if we have to move air conditioning units from this place to this place, that's what we got to do to help the entire district. And so those directives will come from the division superintendents. All right, I think that makes sense. So let's talk about what the autonomies are. And the reason why I show you this slide is that the autonomies are not based on whether you're a magnet school. And there's a reason for that. Now, the SUS schools, separate and unique schools, yes, they are non-zone, and none of them have a DRF. So they have a separate category. Everybody else is not based on whether you're a magnet school or not, because when we look at our schools, the school within the school magnet schools, there are 49 of them, or the school-wide program schools, there are 49 of those also. You can see that many of them are DNF campuses. So can't design a defined autonomy system on whether you're a magnet program or not. We no, define the autonomy system on whether or not you're getting an A or B rating. Now, there's lots of ways to measure progress. We figure since we're part of the intervention, we might as well use that, because that's what's going to get us out of the intervention also, the Texas Accountability Rating. So that's what it's based on. And it looks like this in broad strokes. You have this in your document, and I'll run through it just quickly. But it's in your document, so it takes some more time to read that. There are 4 levels. Level 4 is for separate and unique schools. They are magnet schools that are not zoned. That's pretty important, because we have the responsibility for all kids. And especially a child who is zoned to your school has a right to go to your school and also receive an excellent education. So that's level 4. Level 3, most of you, in fact, all of you should be in an A or B school. There may be some C schools out there, but I think the invitation was for A and B. So A and B rated schools, you're going to see, have quite a bit of autonomy. We're explaining what that looks like tonight, but also to the principals, and we'll continue to have conversation. In fact, the couple slides that I showed the principals today that we're still working on, I'm going to show you as well. And then level 2 is the C and D rated campuses. We still have some D rated campuses that are not NES, because they chose not to be an NES this next year. And then level 1 is NES schools. And NES schools do not have a lot of autonomy. They know that. Out of the 130 schools that will be NES next year, over half of them volunteered to be an NES. So they voluntarily gave up their autonomy, and they are following the NES model. And then there's special category schools like DAEP. We have our own meetings with them to talk about the level of autonomy that they have. They're unique and special in that way. All right, so that's it. That's the levels of autonomy. So let's talk about level 3, because that's where we are today. So by the way, this is the number of schools in each category. You can see that I said about 80 A and B schools. That's about right. So the 21 separate and unique schools, 57 A and B schools. The group standing in front of me today is level 3 A and B schools. And then there are 41 C rated schools, and that includes 4 or 5 D rated schools that are not NES. And then 130 NES schools next year. So let's go to level 3 autonomy, which is very similar to level 4. Program. Full autonomy over the program or programs for its school earn the manual program designation, if applicable. By the way, only the board can significantly change a program, not even the principal can significantly change it. Obviously, the principal can change parts of the program, like how many teachers, class size, things like that, but you can't go from Montessori to project-based learning without approval from the board. So a program cannot be changed if your designation for that school is wrapped up in that program. Curriculum may use any curriculum that does not violate board policy or TPA regulations. I don't know where it came from, but you do not have to use NES curriculum. Now, the confusion may come from the fact that many schools are using NES curriculum and they don't have to. In the West Division, for example, 67 schools in the West Division are non-NES. Of those 67 schools, 35 of them are used the NES curriculum last year. At least parts of it. Last year. And they didn't have to. Of the 45 schools that are going to be NES, 36 of them are already using the NES curriculum. That's because the NAS curriculum is a good curriculum, despite the naysayers that say it's not. That's why those teachers are going to use it. But look, if you don't want to use it, the school doesn't have to use it. Okay? So you don't have to use it if the school doesn't want to use it, if you're an A&E campus. So if you are using it, then the conversation needs to be had with your principal, because it's in writing and it's here. Okay? So this is why we're having this meeting. And so I see people shaking their heads and stuff. It's like, I'm saying it, the principal's heard it. If they're using it, you need to have a conversation with them. Okay? That's what you need to do. And by the way, we are paying for Amplify, Eureka, Carnegie anyway. That wasn't part of your autonomous school. You should pick your curriculum and pay for your curriculum. But the district is paying for Amplify, Carnegie, Eureka, and a couple other vetted curricula for the school, if that's what you choose. If you choose not to use those, you can choose any curriculum. When I got here, there were already 36 or 35 different curricula for ELA in the district out of 274 schools. Yeah. But whatever curriculum you're using in any of these schools, you get to use. That's defined autonomy. Budget. Same budget process as always. You get an allocation. The difference, this year, is that you have no full timers on enrollment or ADA. And if you've watched the budget presentations at the board, you know that the per pupil allocation next year is higher, much higher than the per pupil allocation in 2018, before the COVID years and the relief dollars and all that, when things were held harmless on enrollment also. So that's the budget, total control over the budget. Instructional delivery model. NES is NES. Your schools, A&B schools, can do whatever instructional delivery you have. Project-based learning, Montessori, differentiated instruction, traditional instruction, direct instruction. That is up to the school. Professional development, we already talked about that. Half days for the districts, half for the schools. Master schedule, up to you. We're not dictating how many minutes. Obviously, you have to follow the law for credits and stuff like that for high school. But if your school only gives an hour a day for math in elementary, then you only give an hour a day. In NES world, it's 90 minutes at least, and then there's a 30-minute additional time for Zern or interventions. And that's in the NES world, but for A&B schools, that's your choice. Staffing, that's up to the school. Some schools have more APs than others. Some people have slightly larger class sizes than others. Some people have a testing coordinator. Some people have a librarian. Some people have a wraparound specialist. Some people have whatever they think they can afford. That is up to the school. Teacher eval. Now this is something that is across the board. Teacher evaluation system is T-test. We have to have a teacher evaluation system anyway, and it has in order to be approved by TEA. So we have a T-test right now, and we will develop another teacher evaluation system during the course of next year, based on the District of Innovation Plan schedule. So that teacher eval will be across the system. And teacher compensation is right now on the regular salary schedule. And it will eventually, if we pass the teacher eval that we develop next year, it will eventually be a pay-for-performance system. But not right now, it is a salary schedule system. Unless you're an NES, then that's a different system. Principal eval also is something that goes across the board. We'll talk more about principal evaluation, but the short of it is, there's a couple of changes that we made that we think will be better for principals. It doesn't affect a lot of schools, but mid-year, in the principal evaluation mid-year, there's a 8% of 8 points out of 35 points is tied to achievement. 8 points are tied to mid-year achievement. And that is based on growth. What we've done is changed it so that the highest performing, there's about 8 schools whose achievement is so high that it probably is hard to get decent points on